Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Synchron Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post the May 2022 ban list. The reason I'm updating the Synchron deck is because we got Jet Synchron at 1 off the latest ban list. It's a really awesome addition to the Synchron deck. This card's been off it for a good while now, but it just adds so much consistency for the actual play style of the deck, setting up a lot more different plays. And with this build, I'm focusing more on the actual synchro style that you can do with the deck. I didn't really want to make Majestic Star Dragon the focus of this deck profile like I did with the previous versions of the deck. This is a Synchron deck that focuses on getting out many of the different synchro monsters that you say summoned off of cards like Junk Synchron, along with his Shooting Star Dragon lineup and also his Shooting Quasar lineup. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with some of the tuners first. The first one being released at 1 off the ban list is Jet Synchron. If this card's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can add 1 junk monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use 1 Jet Synchron effect per turn, and only once that turn. So the search power for a good variety of different junk monsters, whether it be Junk Synchron and also cards like Junk Converter, opens up a lot more search power in the deck in total for this card, and it being a level 1 monster means it's also a 1-for-1 target to special summon out, but also a level 1 option for when you summon out cards like Junk Speeder onto the field to then special summon out as many different Synchron tuners as possible with different levels from your deck. So we had the Cyber Synchron option, but now with Jet Synchron at 1, we also have this for the level 1 target to summon out onto the field, setting up in the graveyard, and then also being able to set up other monsters in our graveyard that we could potentially send to the graveyard to special summon it back onto the field, and then have much better use in the graveyard to use. For some of the other tuners, I'm still running the 3 Junk Synchron. Aside from the Jet Synchron, definitely one of the better cards at 3 in the deck. It can be searched off of cards like your Junk Converter, and what's also cool is you can use Junk Converter along with Jet Synchron to send to the graveyard to set up a search for Junk Synchron while giving you another special summon in the graveyard in the form of this card. But Junk Synchron, just being able to special summon a level 2 or lower monster from your graveyard back onto the field, can initiate plenty of your level 5 synchro plays, which can start off a whole other bunch of different combos. I also still run the 3 Stardust Synchron. I don't have any searches for this card in the deck since it's not really a Majestic Star focused build for the spell or traps that have Stardust Dragon in its name. We do run Stardust Dragon in the extra deck, and if you did want to run a search, you could try shooting a Stardust Glimmer into the deck as an added option. But Stardust Synchron is mostly in here once again for graveyard setup, being able to tribute out a non-tuner, setting it up in the graveyard, special summoning out Stardust Synchron, giving us that level 4 tuner. And with cards like Junk Speeder, it is a level 4 tuner search off of the Synchron play. I also run for the other tuners, the 1 Quick Draw Synchron. You have tuning in the deck, so this card is searchable off of this card. That's why I'm comfortable with it at 1. The Cyber Synchron, once again, for another option for level adjustment, but also being able to use this as a level 1 target if we already have Jet Synchron set up in the graveyard when we summon out cards like Junk Speeder, and also being able to use it for those plays along with Satellite Synchron as our other tuner option, because with this card you can use the level 2 play as a synchro target, having a level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Synchron monster to summon out thanks to Junk Speeder. For some of the non-tuner monsters, I also run 3 Junk Converter. This is your searcher in the deck. You can discard this card in 1 tuner to add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. If this card's in your graveyard is sent there as synchro material, you can target 1 tuner monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. So you can summon out your Junk Synchron back onto the field when you go for your level 5 synchro play, and with it right there, you have a level 8 synchro to then go into when you use the Junk Converter for that synchro play. I'll go over the combo plus an additional one that you can use now with the new at 1 Jet Synchron as another possible target in the graveyard for you to summon out. I also run 3 Doppel Warrior. This card is great for more token setup. When a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can special summon 2 Doppel tokens onto the field, both being level 1 with 400 attack and 400 defense in attack position. So a lot of the setup can come down to you also wanting to get out cards like your Formula Synchron and other setup cards like like your Hyper Librarian. The level 1 tokens that you summon out with Doppel Warrior can be great setup for the level adjustment just being off a little bit, let's say, for those specific levels you wanted to summon out. I definitely want to run 3 of this card just so you see it more often in your hand for your plays also. For additional normal summon plays, I also run 2 Synchron Carrier. With this card during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Synchron monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only use this effect once per turn. If another Synchron monster is sent to your graveyard as material for a synchro summon of a warrior or machine synchro monster, while you control this card, you can special summon 1 Synchron token onto the field, which is a level 2 Earth token with 1000 attack and 0 defense. Meaning more of the setup with your Synchron Carrier, but having the additional normal summon definitely will come in handy for other cards like your Junk Synchron, relying on its normal summon to activate its effect. I also run 2 Jester Confit, same premise with the Doppel Warrior, just having a level 1 monster that can easily be special summoned out on the field once per turn, just for more added adjusted monsters on the field for you to use as resources. For another level 8 Synchro setup play, I also run the 3 Escator Dawnwalker and the 1 Fire Ant Escator. This is more of a level 8 play to go into to get Stardust Dragon out more quickly, not taking up your normal summon, just being able to discard 1 card to special summon this card from your hand. You can even potentially discard another of your Dawnwalker, special summoning it out, and then special summoning out your Fire Ant, having your level 8 Synchro play to go into, and then still having opening plays for you to summon out your Formula Synchron onto the field to go into Shooting Star Dragon. And for the last of the monsters, I also run 2 Boost Warrior and 1 Quillbolt Hedgehog. You really run the Boost Warriors because you have plenty of tuners that you can have out onto the field, and then just being able to summon out your Boost Warrior. And it comes into handy with cards like Stardust Synchron, which you can special summon out of the field, and then special summon Boost Warrior out as well. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Synchro Overtake. You reveal 1 Synchro monster in your extra deck. Choose 1 of the Synchro materials whose name is listed on that card and add to your hand, or special summon that monster from your deck or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the extra deck the rest of the turn except for Synchro monsters. You can only activate 1 Synchro Overtake per turn. Now, with the Jet Synchron now at 1 in the ban list, I've considered running the Jet Warrior, which is the Synchro monster that relies on Jet Synchron in the extra deck. So you could have the potential card to put in for this. If you wanted to run Jet Warrior, I'll show you what Synchro monster you could potentially take out for that spot to have a search for Jet Synchron out onto the field using this card. But I just couldn't find any room for it for my extra deck. But there could still be a potential spot if you wanted to run it in the deck to use with this card. But it's mostly in here for the Junk Synchron search, being one of the better ones to search out for a lot of your setup. I also run the 3 Tuning. You just add 1 Synchron Tuner from your deck to your hand, then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. There are plenty of potential send targets that you would want off of the tuning, whether it be your Quillbolt Hedgehog, your Jet Synchron, and plenty of other resources to just special summon back from the graveyard with cards like your Junk Synchron. And for some of the one-ofs for these spells, I run 1 Synchro Chase. If your opponent cannot activate card or effects in response to the effect activations of your Synchro monsters with Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust in their original names, and if a Synchro summon of a Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust Synchro monster, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard, use as its material, and special summon it in defense, giving you more of a play setup on the field because of this card. I only run 1 Synchro Chase. I feel multiples of this conflict with the potential monsters you want to open up with into your hand. Also, 1 for 1 for the level 1 Jet Synchron target search. 1 Call by the Grave, along with 1 reinforcements of the army, hitting a good number of warrior monsters to your hand. And also 1 Foolish Burial, having the same premise for a more specific target search, instead of just tuning being a random mill, along with the 1 Monster Reborn. And I am trying out the 1 Change of Heart. I know this card came off of the ban list, and I'm still leaning more towards this card being a side deck card because it's more of a going second deck, which this deck can potentially have some power going first, setting up a pretty big synchro board, which when you have the Change of Heart in your hand, it may be a weakness of that. If you didn't want to run Change of Heart, you could always put in Synchron Explorer. It's a card that can special summon a tuner monster from the graveyard back onto the field, but that's player preference with that spot. Like I said, I'm still testing out the Change of Heart with the potential to take some of my opponent's monsters to use for my own synchro summons. But that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 Junk Warrior. This is another setup play that you can just easily go into thanks to your Junk Synchron, being able to use your Junk Converter to go into this card, and then when you activate Junk Converter, summoning out your Junk Synchron back onto the field along with your Junk Warrior to then go into a level 8 monster. I also run 1 Junk Speeder. This card can swarm the field with a bunch of different Synchron tuners of different levels in defense position, giving you more and more plays to go into because then your Junk Speeder is a non-tuner tuner, which you can use with those tuners to go into bigger and bigger synchro plays. I also run one Excel Synchron. It's a synchro tuner monster, being able to reduce the level of the sent monster, or increase this card's level by the sent monster by being able to send one Synchron monster from your deck to the graveyard. The card you can also set up with this card could potentially be Jet Synchron, making it that much more quickly to set it up in the graveyard to use. Also, one Satellite Warrior, one of your bigger boss monsters. To get out, just needing one tuner and one non-tuner synchro monster. And when it's synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of synchro monsters in your graveyard. So the more you play into your level plays to go into Satellite Warrior, the more you can destroy on your opponent's side of the field. I also run the one Junk Destroyer for more destruction plays, being a level 8 monster. You can use the Converter play I said before to have then 2 cards for the non-tuner play, destroying those cards on the field using your Junk Destroyer. And one of my favorite texts that I'm using with the Synchron version of the deck, focusing not so much on the Majestic Star Dragon play. I do like playing the one Junk Berserker and the one Junk Archer. I found it a lot of fun when you use them, and they definitely do come in handy. You need Junk Synchron to summon them out, but you can also still use cards like your Quick Draw Synchron to summon these cards out onto the field, taking the name of your specific Synchrons you may need. Both of them being level 7 monsters, and better for the specific plays, with Junk Archer being able to banish a card on the field, being that monster until the end of the turn, getting around that monster for some bigger attacks, and Junk Berserker just being able to destroy and also lower the attack of face-up monsters by banishing a junk monster from your graveyard. For the additional synchro monsters, I run one Stardust Charge Warrior for more of the draw power and multiple attacks this card can do, along with the one Stardust Dragon for the initial play to then go into Shooting Star Dragon, and also the one Celestial Double Star Shaman, a level 2 tuner monster when synchro summoned, being able to special summon up to 4 level 2 non-tuner monsters from your hand and or graveyard. Can give you more on the field to use with your tuners. And I run the one Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This is very easy to summon out with the initial play I said as well, which I'll go over at the end of the video. And for the Shooting Star Dragon play, I run the one TG Hyper Librarian, the one Formula Synchron, the Shooting Star Dragon, which you can summon out with the Stardust Dragon, along with the Formula Synchron play. But mostly you can also get it off of the special summon of your Shooting Quasar Dragon once this card leaves the field, and being able to attack multiple times with this card. Definitely one of your bigger go-to monsters. And I have a lot more fun getting out Shooting Quasar Dragon compared to the Shooting Majestic Star Dragon and the potential plays that can follow it. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, I'll go over one of my favorites. I do it, I think, in every Synchron or Stardust Dragon update. But just being able to send another tuner with your Junk Converter. So if you have this card and then discard one tuner monster, I am going to use our best reference for the new play. And that is Jet Synchron, sending it to the graveyard to search out your Junk Synchron. You can then normal summon Junk Synchron, special summoning back the Junk Converter, going for the level 5 synchro play right then and there. If you don't go for the Junk Warrior play, you can also potentially go for the Junk Speeder play when it's synchro summon, being able to special summon as many synchro tuner monsters as possible at different levels from your deck in defense position. You'll also might miss out, depending if you fill the field out with this card, on the Junk Converter, but you can summon out the Junk Speeder to the extra monster zone to gain more off of this play. If you didn't already send the Jet Synchron to the graveyard, you can always summon out the other level 1 Cyber Synchron to the field, giving you a level 1, a level 2, another level 3, a level 4, and then with the quick draw, the level 5, having all of these different tuners on the field to use as those resources. If you wanted to go for just the Junk Warrior play instead of the Junk Speeder play, you can use the Junk Converter to special summon the Junk Synchron back onto the field with this combo, and then also have the potential to discard other cards, setting up the Jet Synchron in your graveyard if it was sent to the graveyard as synchro material. So you sent it to the graveyard off the discard cost. So you could still discard another card from your hand to the graveyard to then special summon this card back onto the field. And with it, if you send cards like Stardust Synchron, that could be another potential tribute from the graveyard, sending it to the graveyard for that setup, special summoning out your Jet Synchron, and then from there you can either go into your level 8 play, whether it be Stardust Dragon or even your Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Summoning out Stardust Dragon and having the Jet Synchron on the field means that you could potentially also still go for the Jester Confit special summon from your hand, or even the Boost Warrior. If you go for either one of these two monsters, you can then use one of those two monsters with the Jet Synchron to then summon out your Formula Synchron, and then from there you have your Shooting Star Dragon play. If you wanted to go for more of a level adjustment, you could always tribute a monster on the field to summon out the level 4 Stardust Synchron, depending on what other monster you may have wanted to go for after you summoned out that level 1 monster, or even potentially tributing out the Jet Synchron. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, I'm definitely happy to have Jet Synchron back, and there's so many other potential decks that I want to work on with Jet Synchron to boost up its power. I feel like this card could also do very, very well in decks like Light Sworns, where they just mill so many cards, giving you that extra tuner resource from the graveyard. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.